of Shevat marks the Hilula of a really great rabbi. His name was Raphael Shlomo Laniado. Zecher Tzadik Lebracha. He was born in English year 1876 and passed away in English year 1925, approximately 100 years ago. From time of recording, to be precise, I believe it was the 9th of February. It happened to be on that specific year in of itself. It was a great rabbi from Aleppo in Syria, respectively. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, I believe, as we stated before, he was born in Halab, in Aleppo, in Syria, and he came from great rabbinic auspices, heritage. His father's name was Rav Meir Laniado. In of itself, I think they came from the dynasty, rabbinic dynasty of the Laniado family, which is many, many great generations of great rabbanim in of itself. So, we mentioned about various great rabbis from this well-known rabbinic family, and I believe when he was in his youth, he would study and be educated under the auspices of Rav Yosef Yedid Halevi, who I believe was head of Jewish court in Halab, and also would be later on become a great prominent rabbi in Jerusalem, respectively. Also, Rav Ezra Hamvi, another great rabbi of his day. Well, once again, we were privileged enough to speak about in this series, and we've spoken about many of the great rabbis in this point in time. His wife's name would be Rabbanit Zinbol. I believe she happened to be the daughter of Rabbi Avram Abadi, another great rabbi. And I think they would together establish with Rabbi Eliyahu Yosef Shama and Rabbi Meir Nechmad the Chevrat Tzedakah Umirpa'ah in Chalav, in Aleppo, respectively. They will also, I think, establish inside that city in of itself a hospital, as we say in Hebrew, a Beit Cholim, and various different other objectives in regards to helping, let's say, the poor, the sick, and many different Torah importances or Jewish life cycle importances they really concentrated on. I believe, come with the year 1900, he would have been about 24 years of age, he would go and embark on a journey to Israel and move to Jerusalem over there. And over there he would become a teacher and educator in a Talmud Torah institution, I think representing the congregation of the Bukharian Jews from Uzbekistan, respectively. And remember, at that point in time, especially in the late 1800s, a lot of Jewish people would come from Bukharia and move to Jerusalem. And there was a very great community over there in that time. And that will be, I think, for several year periods. He would actually help in establishing the Yeshiva, Yeshivat Ohel Moed in Jerusalem. I believe that would be in the year 1907. And later on, he'll be appointed a Shamash and also the Rosh Yeshiva, I think, of that place. It's a position he would take on, I believe, till 1914, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the yeshiva itself, because of the First World War, was severely affected in the year 1914 at that stage in time. And there was also another Beit Midrash. He would have a prominent position in the school, I think, called the Doresh Tzion, a place we've spoken about on various occasions before. It was a yeshiva, a famous yeshiva in Jerusalem, a Talmud Torah with a great study hall in Jerusalem of its time itself. I think the Pורת Yosef Yeshiva, the academy, would actually open up. He would start working over there, respectively, I think in April 1923, to be precise, and have a head position over there. And that would be at the same time, I think the Yeshivat Ohel Moed will actually maybe come back in to fruition at one point in time. While he was learning, he was basically learning highest levels of Torah, including Torah HaKabbalah, I think especially under the auspices of Rabbi Avram Chaim Ades, another great rabbi we've spoken about, one of the great Kabbalists of Jerusalem, and part of the Jewish Betin court in Aram Tzava, respectively, and in Jerusalem. And one of the famous yeshiva of the Yeshivat Rechovot HaNahar in Jerusalem, he was very much part of. Rabbi Ades was, respectively, so he really much had a close connection with that great Chacham who we've spoken about on various occasions before. And he would learn, I think, in the Chavruta with Rabbi Etzlan Adif, another great rabbi, and he would be part of various different selected rabbis in himself, and part of the committee of the city of the Jewish community in Jerusalem at that point. Some of this was before the start of the Medinat Israel, let's say in 1948. I think come January 1912, he would become part of a committee of the Sephardi community in Jerusalem, among other great rabbis, which we've also once again mentioned about before. Rabbi Avraham Bijajo, another great rabbi, Rabbi David Papo, who would later on, we spoke about Rabbi David Papo, will become a chief rabbi and head Jewish court, I think, in various places, including Libya, Iraq, I believe also maybe even in Macedonia and in Italy, he would take on prominent positions, and also Turkey. Then there was also Rabbi Yosef Mordechai Halevi, part of the, let's say, the court in of itself. Rabbi Hanania Gavriel, who was another great rabbi who we mentioned about before. He happened to be head of Jewish court, part of the Moatzot HaRabbanut in Egypt, respectively, in Cairo, and part of the head of the Jewish court of Jerusalem. And also Rabbi Yosef Shaul Elishar, another great rabbi, who we have to point out was a congregation rabbi. He was a president of the committee, Sephardi community in Jerusalem. Remember, at that point in time, I think he was also a head of the rabbi of the neighborhood Zichron Moshe inside the city, respectively. And remember, at that point in time, the Sephardi community had very great rabbanim and was really, really, absolutely booming at that stage in time. And I believe he passed away on the 9th of February in English in 1925. That was naturally on Tu B'Shvat, the festival of Tu B'Shvat, and he would be buried in Har HaZeitim, which we have to point out, the Mount of Olives burial plot, just to be precise and to translate in English. Now, I believe he would leave great descendants, and among his descendants was, I think, Attorney General Meir Laniado, who was a great man in Jerusalem in of itself, and a great attorney, a lawyer, and he would also become a president, part of the committee of the Sephardi community in of its day, which we have to point out. Another one of his sons was Avram, who would also be a secretary, I think, of the, let's say, the committee of the city, the Ba'ad of the city in of itself, and many other generations. I think Raphael Shlomo Laniado, Harishon, was, I believe, his brother, and that was another close relative. And Rav Shlomo Laniado, Raphael Shlomo Laniado, was a great rabbi in of his time. I think he was a judge, also a dayan, respectively. And was a great rabbis from Syria, and one of the great rabbanim and dayanim in the city. So we have to mention about that. Now, he left great talmidim also, which included Rabbi Avraham Harari Raful, the great rabbi who would become part of the great cluster of rabbanim in Yeshivat Pורת Yosef. Rabbi David Sion Laniado, another great rabbi. Rabbi Yaakov Ades, always seeing the visioning, the picture, famous picture of him, I believe, sitting in the court with Rabbi Ovadia Hodaya, one of the great rabbis of his time, head of Jewish court in Jerusalem, Rabbi Yaakov Ades. Also Rabbi Ezra Atiyah, who would later on become the Rosh Yeshiva, or the famous Yeshivat Pורת Yosef, let's say the bastion of the Sephardic Yeshivot in Israel. Another great rabbi, which happened to be his Talmud, was Rabbi Ezra Chotzny, and also Rabbi Yosef Azuleh, Rabbi Ezra Adas, Rabbi Moshe Yosef Adas, Rabbi Ezra Sharim, Rabbi Natan Salem, Rabbi Aaron Harari Rafol, and Rabbi David Harari Rafol. Really great rabbanim. Now, he left us with some great Torah colossal works, which we have to point out also, including the Chayei Shlomo, which was various different teachings on the Torah, Chidushim on the Torah, which I think was printed as part of the Machalab Haaretz in the Hebrew Yehei Tafshin Chavav. Then there was Ateret Shlomo, once again, Torah novelties, expoundations on the Shas, Talmud Bavli, on the Chagim, the Jewish festivals, and much more within regards to it, which you have to. And there was various different writings he wrote on the Shas and Talmud Bavli in itself, which was printed, I think, in various different publications, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it was arranged by Rabbi Ben Sion Ko'anika, another great rabbi we mentioned about on various occasions before. I believe this was in the year between Hey Tafresh Nun Vav and Hey Tafresh Samach Bet. So he was a really great rabbi of his time, passed away 100 years ago. Rabbi Raphael Shlomo Laniado Zeche Tzadik Lebracha. He's among his rabbis, as we stated before. At the beginning was Rabbi Yosef Yedida Levi and Rabbi Ezra Chamvi. He was a great Rosh Yeshiva. He would become a great Kabbalist. Also, he was only, I believe, 49 years of age when he sadly passed away. So wishing you well. Please, if you are related to any of the great rabbis, please send me an email. I would love to hear more. If you feel anyone will be interested in watching these videos, please share the videos to other people. We're a community here. We're learning about the great Chachamim, the great Oriental rabbis of yesteryear. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already at this stage. I'm wishing you well from Israel. Take care and blessings.